I just want to address two things really quickly. First of all, in terms of being an advocate for the disabled, I've changed my mind. What I mean is that while advocating for the disabled will certainly be part of what I do, it won't be fully me. And for lack of a better term, I say to people, if you want to define me by my disability, then, as I said, for lack of a better term, screw you. I'm going to be defined by way more than my disability, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry that I don't fit your mold, but I'm sorry for you. I'm not apologizing to you, I'm just sorry for you. And secondly, speaking of not fitting molds, be careful on PolishForms.com. I have some people who don't like that I'm descended from crypto Jews. And there's this controversy over a certificate right now that I found that apparently could be my great-great-granddad's parents' marriage certificate after all. It does have the names Antoni and Katarzyna, but when I talked to someone who seems like a very honest person, he emailed me, and the email exchange, he translated it, and then he said, sorry, the translation is not very good, depends on my bad English. So then I asked him, when the certificate says priest, does it mean rabbi perchance? From what a cousin told me, this was a non-Catholic certificate. And he said that the person who officiated the marriage couldn't be a rabbi. And he said, I'd never seen such a certificate till now, but it seems to me peculiar that although it was the religious marriage, there are nothing about the groom and bride were Catholic or not, but maybe it was something obvious for the priest and he didn't mention this. Well, I just find it really weird because even, for example, when my great-great-granddad Rosnock's parents got married Catholic and they were Jews, they had to be acquitted to marry. And obviously a lot of my family has not liked that I found that out. Well, my cousin found a document for me, but as far as I can tell, he didn't even like that he had to concede that the word was acquitted. And knowing my OCD and knowing myself pretty well, I double-checked, and I'm like, okay, things are funny, in terms of, okay, why would he use an alias, for example? That was one of the things that struck me, and then why? Okay, because what I mean by funny is that people are trying to tell me, oh, we were Czechoslovakian Catholics and all this stuff, and then of course, then the thing about, okay, Kvetkovitz being used as an alias, them having me acquitted to marry, and this was after I had found the pictures of Vilmos and everyone else, and then, of course, then I found a picture of great-great-granddad Rusnock. And for 68 or 69, prior to that, he looked fine, and he looked about his age. But he looked like hell when he had cancer, and he died shortly after the whole incident with Vilmos and that side of the family. And that's when my cousin, who had to concede to me that, hey, his grandparents had to be acquitted to marry, that's when he got angry and said, oh, your comments make me sick. Well, I'm sorry if I see the evidence. And for a long time, I just thought that great-grandma Gaddis was involved by herself. I didn't know about her dad's involvement. Once I saw the picture, everything became clear. He was involved. His parents indeed converted and irked that side of the family off. They had to go through a dispensation to prove that they really converted and were legitimately able to marry in the Catholic Church, although, of course, we know that they were a new team. And that Vilmos and the rest of them really did reach out to great-grandma Gaddis and great-great-granddad Rusnock as kind of a last resort thing. And I'm paralleling this, of course, to the case of my Zarnecki great-great-grandparents. I mean, I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to pretend that we're Jewish and bullshit. I didn't even expect that we were going to be Jewish. It was funny, because when I even first typed in Jews for Jesus, I just got that idea in my head, and I said to Michelle, oh, let's just see where this thing goes. And I never thought, the whole story I was told for years, the whole story I was told for years is that great-granddad came over here by himself, he married Mary Krunach, served in Korea, died of black lung in 1972. That's when Dad was 12. Never was I told that great-granddad came over here with his parents, committed suicide. And all this after he never had his marriage to great-grandma legitimized, because if you listen to my cousin, and if you look at the marriage license itself, there really is no signature of the priest. Nothing. No priest. No... Trying to think of the right word, since I don't want to use the word rabbi, since Jesus says not to use that. But no, roa or shepherd. The word I've seen used is ra'a or roe. So, no priest, no roe, no nobody. And great-granddad never served a day of his life in the military. His brother died serving in World War II. Of course, it took him 18 years to die, and there was a whole scandal around that. I didn't wake up one morning going, I'm going to make all this up. This is half of the stuff that I never could have made up. I didn't even know that great-grandma Zarnecki was Jewish. I didn't even know that. I had assumed that it was her that was Polish-Lithuanian when Dad and Papa were talking about that. And for years, Papa tried to connect us to Stefan Zarniecki. Then one day when we were talking, it was one of the final phone calls before he died, he said something along the lines of, if we have any Jewish blood, I don't know about it. Well, don't tell the guys that Polish forms that. Or some of the guys anyway. Because no matter what evidence I bring up, no matter if something smells fishy to me, and I want to make sure that they're being honest with me, all I get is, for lack of a better term, all I get is bullshit for not wanting to accept things at face value. Like, for example, I mean, even some of them said, oh, you were never, abused by your dad, or, oh, your dad loves you. You know what? Bullshit. Why would I lie about that? It's just like, to a way more extreme degree, when people are saying that Dylan Farrow would lie about being sexually abused. Really? Okay, so it's that same kind of perverse logic that, oh, people think that I'm going to lie about something that I never would have expected to make up. And even that's, so I'm dealing with all this crap right now. Oh, you were never abused as a kid. You were never Jewish. Really? Really? You know what? Don't pull that on me. And actually, too, while we're bringing up the Dylan Farrow subject, that's part of why I sympathize with Dylan Farrow. Because, like I said, I was never sexually abused, thank God. But I was abused. And I know what it's like when people lie and they say, oh, you never went through this. You never saw this. You never... It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it's just stunning. Stunning. And I think that's part of the problem with our society too, that even like, for example, when you read one of the articles on Fox News, it's like with some of these people, you'd have to take them back in time to make them see what happened. Like, for example, the article on Fox News that I'm referring to, and I'm going to pull it up, is where they talk about, let's see if I can find it here. Okay, it's talking about, they talk about camel bones and, oh, here we go, camel bones refute Bible. Well, and this makes me so angry because it's like you'd have to take these people back in time to show them what happened. And they say, like, for example, camels are mentioned as pack animals in the biblical stories of Abraham, Joseph, and Jacob, Old Testament stories that historians peg between 2000 and 1500 BC, but Erez ben Yosef and Lidar Sapiren say that camels weren't domesticated in Israel until centuries later, more like 900 BC. Well, first of all, it never says that camels were buried in Israel. Okay? Secondly, Abraham and Yitzhak and Yaakov, they were nomadic. Nomadic. So, when they settled anywhere, they were lucky. And they might have cremated their camels, or the bones of their camels might be gone, or the carbon dating could be wrong. And it talks about like where the Midianites and the Ishmaelites came through and bought Joseph. Well, guess what? Those camels were coming through too. They weren't just plopping down and saying, hey, we're in Canaan, man, we're in Israel, man. In those days, you didn't stay in one place for long unless you were lucky. You got what you needed to got, and you went on. And it's just amazing. It's like no matter what evidence you show them, it's like they will always try to sneak to get around what the evidence does show, or what the evidence shows when you look beyond face value. That's the problem. People want this face value. I want it now, when I want it now, and I want it to fit my mold. Well, I'm sorry. Sometimes life doesn't fit a mold. There are common threads. But there's not this one size fits all. And I think that's part of the problem with our culture. We want this one size fits all, and we want it to fit, and if it doesn't fit, damn it, we're gonna just twist it to make it the way we want it. And it just, and I'm not saying that I'm immune to this, believe me, I've done it on stuff like that. And then of course they're saying that I don't accept a translation of the certificate. Well, bullshit. I've already changed the family tree to reflect it, and I've said, look, you know, I've accepted this certificate, but I need to make sure this is an honest translation. Because something doesn't seem right. And when someone who would have no reason to lie to me says, yeah, this is kind of fishy too. Anyway, so to sum up this video and to sum up my rant, 1, be careful who you trust on PolishForums.com. 2, never take things at face value, especially if someone does seem fishy. 3, when someone who has no reason to lie to you says something, believe them, and don't exhaust them by making them pull out whatever they need to pull out, because sometimes we need to make them work so hard to build a case that they would have to do the impossible, like transport you back in time to make you see that something happened. And sometimes all they have is circumstantial evidence. And 4, when someone says something, especially about serious matters, and they have no reason to lie to you, believe them. Just believe them. Don't be like Stacey Malkin or whoever else is defending Woody Allen. Believe the Dylan Farrows. They wouldn't go through what they went through just to lie about it. And again, life doesn't fit the mold. Life doesn't fit the sanitized, oh, everything's right there in front of you. Sometimes, especially when a person's being honest and they've done all that they can do, sometimes you just have to say, look, it doesn't fit my mold. It's not what I wanted. But it is what it is. And I can either try to get around it and twist it, or I can say, yeah, it's not what I wanted. It's not what I would have expected. It's not whatever else it is. But sometimes life happens. Life doesn't fit a mold. And what else can I say?